Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pink Sari's digital launch of its two initiatives, Beyond Pink and Cervical Screening Awareness. Friends, as we begin our digital event, please join me in acknowledging elders past and present of the traditional custodians of the land from wherever we are connecting from this evening. My name is Aparna Tijoriwala, and I'm one of the Pink Sari team members. Also, I have the pleasure of being your MC this evening. I'm very excited to have you join us for this special event. It is special for many reasons. This is Pink Sari's maiden digital event, and what a great initiative to remember it with. Launch of PSI's Beyond Pink and Cervical Screening Awareness. We would have loved to host this in a traditional face-to-face launch, but keeping in mind safety of community members, we felt that change to a digital platform would be a prudent choice. On behalf of PSI, I request your graciousness to overlook any shortcomings that may occur this evening due to our inexperience in this digital arena. Ladies and gentlemen, I also would like to make aware that this event is being recorded and will be shared across various digital platforms. Today, we are privileged to have amongst us few esteemed personalities and community leaders who are associated with cancer-related matters and issues pertaining to awareness, prevention, etc. We will miss Honorable Minister Jeffrey's presence as he is unable to join us due to a last-minute development. However, we welcome them, all our other panelists, and are grateful to them for making time to join and address us at our launch. We will also be hearing from a family member who has been a carer to a cancer patient. Pink Sari Inc. owes its inception to Pink Sari Project, where the seeds of its existence were sown. Pink Sari Project was a community project led by New South Wales Multicultural Health Communication Services and funded by Cancer Institute New South Wales in 2014. The objective of this project was to increase the breast screening rates amongst Indian and Sri Lankan women by creating awareness and importance of breast screening. In 2016, when Pink Sari Project was nearing its 2-year completion, to sustain its momentum and continue the good work that it had started, community members were invited to form an association, and this saw the birth of Pink Sari Inc., also known as PSI. At the onset of 2021, PSI embarks upon two initiatives, Beyond Pink and Cervical Screening Awareness. I came across a quote very recently which said, "Doctors diagnose, nurses heal, and caregivers make sense of it all." However, these carers, also need to be cared for by giving them support and empowering them with information that they may not have, resources they may not have, or maybe they are not aware of that they can access. Beyond Pink is this initiative which will strive to provide such support to cancer patient carers of Indian and Sri Lankan ethnicity. After successfully working towards raising breast screening and bowel screening awareness, PSI is now venturing into raising cervical screening awareness amongst Indian and Sri Lankan women. Pink Sari Inc. is a team of 6 women who volunteer their time towards achieving these objectives. It is now with great pleasure that I would like to introduce my fellow team members, Dr. Rukmini Venkatraman.
Hello, thank you, Aparna. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to one and all. I am Rukmini Venkatraman, and I have been associated with Pink Sari Inc. since mid-2017. I feel quite privileged working with this dedicated group, which is striving hard to improve the health status of Indian and Sri Lankan women. Thank you.
Next, we have Vijay Dayanathan. Vijay, you need to unmute. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. I am Vijay Dayanathan, and I am one of the original Pink Sari members who started Pink Sari Inc. with Shanta and Aparna. We are the only three who are left from the original group. So I have been with Pink Sari from 2016. And it's a great group of women to work with. Thank you.
Next, we have Anup Johar.
Namaskar. My name is Anup Johar, and I have been associated with Pink Sari for almost 3 years. And I enjoy working with a great bunch of people on raising awareness of on preventative cancer for Indian and Sri Lankan community. Thank you.
Next, we have Kashmira Sachanya.
Namaskar. I'm the newest member of this group, and I cannot tell you what a privilege it is to be doing what we do and being part of this group. I hope you enjoy this launch that we have, and we look forward to your support all through our journey. Thank you.
We 5 women obviously need a leader in Pink Sari Inc. This team of women is led by a lady who has been there right from Pink Sari Project through to Pink Sari Inc. And I have great pleasure in introducing our dynamic leader, PSI President, Shanta Vishwanathan. Please unmute, Shantanti. Yeah.
Thank you so much to the wonderful Aparna Tijoriwala, a great MC. I feel honored and privileged to be part of such a wonderful group of women with endless passion, commitment, energy, and enthusiasm. Namaste, namaskaram, vanakkam. On behalf of Pink Sari Inc., it gives me great pleasure to extend a warm welcome to all of you to this online event. Had this been a face-to-face event, we would have had a sumptuous dinner for you, but unfortunately that too has to be virtual, so I leave that entirely to your wild imagination. Maybe some other time, soon. Now, some of you know about us, but for those of you who may not, Pink Sari Inc. is a not-for-profit organization that is run by a team of dedicated volunteers from diverse language groups of South Asian background. Our aim is to improve the health and well-being of South Asian communities, and our vision is to provide South Asian communities with information and support to improve their knowledge and ability to lessen the impact of certain types of cancer. We all know that being diagnosed with cancer or caring for someone who has been diagnosed is an incredibly complex and challenging time. Patients and their families are constantly faced with choices which can be difficult and might need to be made on short notice. Sometimes there is simply no right or wrong answer, and rather, patients and their carers need to make the best possible decisions they can in the circumstances based on the advice of the doctors. Apart from having the right medical and emotional support around them, patients ideally need time, options, and access to information to make the best possible decisions about their care. Pink Sari focuses on early detection, often giving those unfortunate enough to be diagnosed a better range of treatment options, and usually a better shot at beating the odds at surviving. I would now like to extend a very warm welcome to Mr. Joseph Laposta, CEO, Multicultural New South Wales, who very kindly is representing Minister Jeff Lee, who couldn't be here today with us. Thank you very much, Mr. Lacosta, for accepting this invitation at such short notice. It is a pleasure to welcome Professor David Curran, Chief Cancer Officer and CEO of Cancer Institute New South Wales. We are incredibly grateful to him and to Cancer Institute New South Wales for awarding Pink Sari 2 grants, one for cervical screening and the other for Beyond Pink. This funding and Cancer Institute support will ultimately be life-altering for many patients and their families. Thank you to the team at Cancer Institute New South Wales for their exceptional support and guidance throughout, not just now, but throughout all the projects that we've undertaken so far. New South Wales Multicultural Health Communication Service. Our association with you goes a long way, ever since your Pink Sari project days. A very warm welcome to Lisa Woodland, Director, New South Wales Multicultural Health Communication Service, to Jesusa Helaratne, Deputy Director, and a great person, a go-to person for the media, and to Sam Shen, Acting Marketing and Communications Manager, without whom we may not have had this event. Welcome to Dr. Palu Malowala, President, Australian Indian Medical Graduates Association, who is also Pink Sari's first ambassador for breast cancer, and Dr. Chitra Harinesan, who is the Director of the Australian Medical Aid Foundation. Both Dr. Malowala and Dr. Harinesan are from the Indian and Sri Lankan communities. This evening, we are very proud to announce that we've been awarded 2 grants, one cervical screening and the other for Beyond Pink, which focuses on carers and cancer patients. The Cervical Screening for Survival project, a partnership between Pink Sari Inc., the Australian Indian Medical Graduates Association, and the Australian Medical Aid Foundation, will focus on raising awareness about the importance of early detection of cervical cancer and the National Cervical Screening Program. The project will target women in the age group of 25 to 74 years from the Indian and Sri Lankan communities in Western Sydney and Southwest Sydney. As our women are less likely to screen compared to the general population, it is important that we raise awareness of the importance of early detection and support women to overcome social and cultural deterrents to getting screened. This will be done through community education workshops, through promotional events, and also focus groups. Beyond Pink is an entirely new initiative that Pink Sari is very excited about. Its focus will be primary carers, patients, those in remission, and survivors, and also secondary carers such as family members or friends. Community education workshops, healthy lifestyle activities such as yoga and meditation, art therapy sessions and focus groups will be held in Northern Sydney, Southwest Sydney, and around Strathfield. The aim of this project is to proactively engage and empower them with information, knowledge, understanding, and skills to better support the people they're caring for, as well as to take better care of themselves. This project will also develop and implement an advocacy strategy on behalf of carers and patients for their support needs to be provided in a timely and culturally appropriate manner to ensure inclusiveness in the general service access and delivery. There are some wonderful mainstream services around, but we thought we can bring in the cultural perspective so that our communities can better benefit from the services. Pink Sari works from within the communities we serve, reaching those who otherwise may not access the screening or support they need. This evening, we will have the opportunity to hear 3 different perspectives, from that of a service provider, medical professionals, and through a touching story of a carer. The community spirit, the immense support, coverage, and recognition from the South Asian media, from social media, and our well-wishers have all contributed to Pink Sari's strength. We have a lot to do, but we know that with such a fantastic array of partners, volunteers, and supporters, and so much positive energy and commitment around us, we can make a real difference in the lives of so many families impacted by cancer. Thank you. We now have a video to share with you. It's our story in pictures. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it gives you a glimpse of who we are, what we've done, and what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Shantanti. Thank you. And as the video sort of concluded, the journey continues. But for the journey to continue, it's time now to launch. And for that, I have, with great pleasure, I would love to call upon Professor David Currow. Professor David Currow is a fellow of the Australian Academy of Health and Medical Sciences. He is the Chief Cancer Officer of New South Wales and Chief Executive Officer of Cancer Institute New South Wales. Professor Currow leads the Cancer Institute New South Wales teams, experts in areas of cancer prevention, early detection, screening, cancer service performance, reporting and development, strategic investment in translational cancer research. And through these vital areas, Professor Currow leads the role of the Cancer Institute New South Wales in its capacity to decrease the incidence of cancer, increase the survival for people who are diagnosed with cancer, and improve the quality of care for people with cancer. Professor Currow, could I please request you to launch our projects Beyond Pink and Cervical Screening Awareness?
Thank you, Aparna. It is with great pleasure that I'm here with you tonight for the virtual launch of Cervical Screening for Survival and Beyond Pink, the two projects of Pink Sari Incorporated, funded on this occasion by the Cancer Institute New South Wales. As we gather for this event today, physically dispersed, I too would like to take a moment to recognize the various traditional lands on which we are meeting and to acknowledge elders past, present and emerging of all the lands on which we live and work, and their enduring inner and outer spirits, and welcome any people from Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander background who are here today. I too would like to acknowledge an extraordinary group of people around the table. Firstly, the Pink Sari Committee. What wonderful work you are doing and what a difference you are making, not only today, but for people for decades and to come. It's really exciting to see the energy and the enthusiasm. I was fortunate to join you at the very first launch of the Pink Sari project, and to see it grow and develop in this way is truly exciting. To each of the committee members, thank you. To Mr. Joseph Laposta, Chief Executive Officer of Multicultural New South Wales, your work and the work of your team is also making a difference. To Lisa Woodland, Director of Multicultural Health Communication Service and a member of the New South Wales Cancer Plan Governance Committee, it's wonderful working alongside you, Lisa, and the team under your leadership has continued to grow and influence. To Councillor Susei Benjamin from Blacktown City Council, thank you for your engagement. The role of local government in engaging with communities effectively is so important. And our partners in local government are making an enormous difference. To Dr. Palu Malawala, the President of the Australian Indian Medical Graduates Association and a busy contributor well beyond this program at a state and national level. It is great to be working alongside you as an ambassador for Breast Screen. To Dr. Chitra Haranesan, Director of the Australian Medical Aid Foundation, thank you for the work that you and your team do. And of course, the dynamic Shantha Vishwanathan, President of Pink Sari Incorporated. To all of you, thank you for the contribution that each of you is making to reduce the impact of cancer across our community. I'm inspired to see us connected virtually, common in our interests to better cancer outcomes in our communities, united in our fight to lessen the burden of cancers. The Cancer Institute New South Wales is the government's cancer control agency, and as Aparna has said, it is here to reduce the impact of cancer, to reduce the number of people who are diagnosed with cancer, and if people are diagnosed, to improve their outcomes. We have a wonderful wonderful health system with dedicated clinicians, but ensuring that we're bringing those clinicians together and looking at getting the right person to the right place at the right time for the best possible outcomes is crucial. That includes prevention. It includes screening, and it's so wonderful to see the screening rates for Indian and Sri Lankan women, particularly in breast screen, increasing and continuing to increase. You should be so proud of what you have achieved there. It is really such a dynamic and wonderful example of what communities can do when they take ownership of such important health issues. The Cancer Institute New South Wales is proud to have funded not one but two projects for Pink Sari Incorporated that will extend its reach to local communities from the Indian subcontinent. It will expand the work that has been done already in breast cancer and in bowel screening. Cervical cancer is one of the most preventable cancers. Having cervical screening test every 5 years is now the best way to prevent it. In Australia, the reduction in new cases and deaths from cervical cancers is one of the great success stories of the last 30 years. In many parts of the world, cervical cancer is still the #1 killer for women from cancer. And yet, we've seen the change that can be brought about in Australia by really focusing on a population-based screening program. If the human papillomavirus is detected during the test, then there is a good chance of managing it and preventing cervical cancer. But much too often the message does not reach everyone in our communities. It does not reach our women, particularly those that have arrived in recent years and who are often still preoccupied in learning how to navigate the health system. In 2018, almost 546,000 women in New South Wales aged 25 to 74 had a cervical screening test, but that only generated a participation rate of 51.5%. I know that we can do better than that. The Cancer Institute New South Wales acknowledges the important role that organisations such as Pink Sari Incorporated play in taking these messages and generating dialogue in local communities through your important networks and your local connections. Partners such as the Australian Indian Medical Graduates Association and the Australian Medical Aid Foundation, New South Wales Multicultural Health Communication Service are all key partners in this work. Each of you play a crucial role in furthering our investment to free our world from the pain and suffering that cancer causes. In 2015, almost 44,000 people in New South Wales were diagnosed with cancer. 1 in 2 of us will be diagnosed with a cancer by the age of 85. At the same time, we know that carers have it pretty tough. I've looked after lots of people, particularly with advanced cancer. And I would have to say that there is no tougher place to be in the world than caring for someone with cancer, someone you love, while you walk alongside them, be it at the time of diagnosis, at treatment, in survivorship, or indeed for those people who need palliative care. It is really the toughest place to be, watching someone you love encounter cancer, not knowing the future, and the toll on carers should not be underestimated. So I'm really delighted that Pink Sari Incorporated has taken this as a specific focus in this program. When you're looking after a loved one on the cancer journey, often caregiver needs go unchecked, and this is particularly poignant when you think of young caregivers. Beyond Pink is a unique project in the support it will offer to carers related to patients' diagnosis, prognosis, physical and emotional impacts of treatment, and how to manage all of this while providing care. You know, carers themselves have major health problems, not just while they're providing care, but in the longer term. There's a huge hangover effect after people have completed care for someone, and we mustn't underestimate the enormous and selfless sacrifice that caregivers provide. The Cancer Institute New South Wales is dedicated to lessening the impact of cancers on our community and the health system, including carers. We work behind the scenes to ensure everyone in New South Wales has the best cancer outcomes by reducing the incidence of cancer, increasing survival, and improving the quality of life for people with cancer and their carers. But we can only do this by working in partnership with the community. Pink Sari Incorporated has an incredible track record in galvanizing the community. Look at what you've achieved with breast screening. Pink Sari became a movement. The project was completely owned by the community. As a result, participation rates have increased significantly. We're counting on you as partners because you have local reach, you are trusted, and you care. I feel assured that we are walking alongside you on this path to better cancer outcomes in our communities. On behalf of the Cancer Institute New South Wales, I wish Pink Sari Incorporated and all of its partners the very best with the two projects, Cervical Screening for Survival and Pink Sari. I look forward to working with you all as we move forward and have great pleasure this evening in launching both of these wonderful community-based initiatives. Every best wish for their future and their success.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Caro, for the confidence you have placed in Pink Sari with this initiative. We will strive to do our best in our community and contribute in the areas of early detection and screening. Excuse me, that was a very touching thing. Friends, we are grateful to have with us Joseph Laphosta, CEO, Multicultural New South Wales. He took on this role in January 2019, and prior to that, he was on the advisory board at Multicultural New South Wales and chair of Sport New South Wales.
Hi, Aparna. Good evening, everyone. It's my absolute pleasure to be here. I'd like to firstly acknowledge that I'm on the lands of the Wongal people here in the inner west of Sydney, and pay my respects to the traditional custodians of the land and any elders past, present and emerging on today's call. I'm a late call up tonight because unfortunately our minister at the moment, Jeff Lee, is quite sadly with the Premier and also the Prime Minister of Australia at a memorial service for the family that lost their 4 children in not far from Parramatta, just I think about 6 months ago. So the Minister asked me today, he is very close to the cause of Pink Sari, as you all know. I'm certainly no substitute for the Minister, but I do come to you with a close connection both to the organisation, but also to the cause that you represent. I'd like to firstly thank our host today from Shantha, the President of Pink Sari, obviously Professor Caro, beautifully spoken, David. That was absolutely from the heart. And we know that organisations like yours, which play a critical role on behalf of the government, cannot do what you do and the incredible work that you do in combating such a deadly disease without the support and the leadership of people like Shantha and others throughout the Pink Sari community. So thank you for your words. The leadership of colleagues in Lisa Woodland and also Jesusa from New South Wales Multicultural Health Communications Sector and Service, Dr. Palu, Dr. Chitra, not just leaders of Pink Sari, but community leaders and medical leaders right across the board. And then I can also see, as Professor Caro said before, councillors both from Blacktown, Susai Benjamin, and also Councillor Samir Pandey from the City of Parramatta. Thank you both for your leadership within the community as well, not just within the Indian communities, but all of the communities that you engage with across your councils, both incredibly diverse councils and strong supporters of Multicultural New South Wales. I guess I have an incredibly humbling and privileged role in terms of advocating for the 305 different ancestries that exist in New South Wales, one of the most diverse states on earth. We speak over 226 different languages and practice 146 different religions. And I think one of the beautiful things about Pink Sari, whilst it clearly has its origins in the South Asian community, it connects with all communities. And that was evident in the slideshow that you showed before. I have to get a copy of that because that had so many of our advisory board members, our community stakeholders, our religious leaders, our government partners, right across the board in one slideshow, that it was an incredibly important reminder of the power of connection, but also the power of a society that can come together around a common cause in terms of combating cancer, and particularly cancers such as breast and cervical cancer and others that are so close to the heart of Pink Sari. Fundamentally, the leaders on this call and many of the participants on this call are saving lives. And you're saving lives by building an awareness. You're saving lives by breaking down some of the taboos. You're saving lives by providing incredibly important community support and reaching out to people at the grassroots that are going through some of these incredibly difficult times. Professor Curro's touched on it before. It is arguably one of the most challenging times in your life, and you could hear the emotion in Professor Curro's voice, but also Aparna's voice before, because unfortunately cancer affects all of us, and whether it's directly through our lives or, you know, for some of us at the moment that are, you know, even in my own life, I reflect on some of the people who are incredibly close to me that are fighting the battle with this awful disease at the moment. So whether it's a family member, a neighbour, a colleague, we're all impacted. It doesn't discriminate. And just on behalf of Multicultural New South Wales, on behalf of our Minister, and on behalf of the New South Wales Government, our sincere thanks to Pink Sari for breaking down these taboos, connecting communities at the grassroots, and doing what you do best, which is bringing people together to help them get through incredibly difficult times. So I thank you very much for the opportunity tonight. I again apologise on behalf of Minister Lee. He's far more charismatic, entertaining, and well-spoken than I, but hopefully I'm a worthy substitute. And please know that you don't just have a friend in Multicultural New South Wales, you have a partner in us going forward, Pink Sari. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Joseph, and my apologies. I could not complete your introduction because of being a little bit in awe and very truly touched by what Professor Curro said. But Joseph, you have led large and small teams overseeing business responsibilities, including operations, commercial, finance, diversity and inclusion, government relations, and major projects. And thank you. You are no less a substitute. We are greatly pleasured to have you with us. Thank you.
Anna. Thank you.
Friends, I'd now like to welcome PSI partner MHCS Director Lisa Woodland. Lisa Woodland is a director of the New South Wales Multicultural Health Communication Services. Lisa has extensive experience in service development, research and management of multicultural and refugee health services and programs. Lisa and the team that she manages have been the recipient of a number of prestigious awards, including New South Wales Health Innovations Award for Building Partnerships, Premier's Public Sector Award for delivering quality customer services, and the Premier's Multicultural Communication Award. Lisa Woodland.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Aparna, for the very warm introduction, and thank you, Shanta, and the team for inviting me to speak at this very important event. Thank you also to David and Joseph for your very inspiring speeches. You obviously touched all of us in what you've had to say so far. I would also like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners on the various lands on which we're attending this launch this evening. I'm joining you from the land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to Aboriginal people present today. I'd also like to pay my respects to people from migrant and refugee backgrounds who've come from all over the world to make Australia their home and contribute to our rich multicultural society. It's always an enormous pleasure to attend events such as these that demonstrate the enormous value in bringing together health professionals, community leaders and community organisations to work in partnership, combining the knowledge, skills and capabilities of our various areas of expertise to achieve positive outcomes for the communities that we are part of and that we serve. New South Wales Multicultural Health Communication Service has had a very deep and enduring partnership with Pink Sari Inc. since its inception. And I'd like to acknowledge the invaluable contribution of the former director of our service, Peter Tadaro, and former marketing and communications manager, Michael Cammett, to building the partnership with Pink Sari. We've worked together on a range of projects to address the very important health needs in the Indian and Sri Lankan communities. As Aparna and Shanta mentioned, we initially worked together on the Pink Sari project that resulted in increased rates in breast screening in women from Indian and Sri Lankan communities. And this successful partnership was awarded an Australian Multicultural Marketing Award in 2017 and led to the formation of Pink Sari Incorporated as it's known today. And this in itself is a wonderful achievement, to have a community-driven initiative sustained through a dedicated and passionate community-based organisation. Since that time, New South Wales Multicultural Health Communication Service and Pink Sari have worked together on a number of very successful projects focusing on bowel screening, as well as mental health literacy, another very important health issue for the community. I'd also like to just acknowledge that Pink Sari have played a vital role in assisting New South Wales Health engaging with communities during the COVID-19 pandemic. In particular, they've supported our service and Western Sydney Local Health District to produce and disseminate videos for Diwali, promoting COVID-safe messages and COVID testing to communities. We're particularly proud of being a partner in the Beyond Pink project, focusing on people and their carers affected by cancer. We know that for culturally and linguistically diverse communities, cancer can be an incredibly difficult disease to seek support for and to talk about. It's a disease that affects not only individuals, but families and communities. We also know that the best way to provide information and support to individuals, families and communities is through trusted sources, such as the health professionals and community representatives that are gathered here today. And I'd just like to add a few words to the comments that David has made about carers. Carers is a label that we as health professionals apply to families and friends that have a primary caring role for our patients. And carers themselves don't often identify with this label. They see themselves as husbands and wives, sisters, brothers, mothers, fathers, friends, caring for loved ones. And while health professionals recognise the enormous value that carers add to the healthcare team in supporting people affected by cancer, we often underestimate the needs of carers while they are providing this care. And beyond, as David mentioned. And this includes access to culturally informed information in their language, social connection with others in similar circumstances, and opportunities to support their own health and well-being. And I'm really proud that this project will address the needs of carers and people affected by cancer, and in recognising and understanding the importance of providing family and community focused support. In closing, I'd like to reiterate my deep respect for the members of the Pink Sari Inc. committee who bring their passion, commitment and talent to the work they undertake on behalf of Indian and Sri Lankan communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you very much. We are always very grateful for the support that you and your team have always provided us, and without any expectations. So once again, we are truly indebted to you and your team. Thank you. Could I please now invite our partners, Australian Indian Medical Graduates Association and Australian Medical Aid Foundation, represented by Dr. Pallu Malawala Sarkar and Dr. Chitra Harinasan, respectively. Dr. Pallu is the current president of ANGA and has a solo GP practice in Rosehill, where she has been practicing for past 22 years. She's an ambassador for Pink Sari and has always been an active supporter at all our activities. Dr. Chitra is one of the directors of Australian Medical Aid Foundation, which undertakes medical projects in Sri Lanka. She is a practicing GP as well in Greystanes and has been one for past 25 years. She is an active participant in health promoting activities in the local community. Pallu, I hand over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody at the Pink Sari. As you know, I am representing AIMGA, which is the Australian Indian Doctors. It's called the Australian Indian Medical Graduates Association. And we at AIMGA strive to do a lot of health awareness programs and better the health in the community. So it was really a pleasure to team up with Pink Sari, and thank you for letting us be one of your partners. It's such a great thing that you people are doing. We were asked to talk, me and my colleague, Dr. Chitra Harinasan, we were supposed to talk about the GP perspective about how to increase the cervical cancer screening rates. And I just put it into two categories as to, I feel that it's a patient problem and it's a GP problem as well. So when it comes to patients, it's the usual things, or it's too embarrassing, it's too painful, why me, and what is it supposed to do? And, I've got no history, and why should I do it? So those are the patient problems which actually Chitra will elaborate on. I just think that from our side, especially the Australian Indian doctors, we would like to set up a small program for the GPs itself, because for GPs, the main problem is the time factor. So no time, there's so many other things that we need to do to patients. So cervical cancer does become like a backbencher. So what we were planning to do is try to get the GPs, educate the GPs to have a program which is called the PenCat tool, and that will sit on top of our medical computer program. And so we can actually set out, we can actually see how many of our patients between the age of 25 and 74 have been screened. And those, we can set out the ones that have not been screened and then send them reminder letters. And we try to encourage this with all the GPs, especially in the Western and the Southwestern departments. And then we can have a one day when we can call all of them on one day and get as many cervical screens done as possible. And I think we will try and take up that initiative. And there are some GP friends here who are here today with me, and I'm sure they will help me. It's Dr. Darshana Dave from Southwestern Place. There's Dr. Malti Thakkar. There's Dr. Anju Agarwal. There's Dr. Nagama, I can see. So thank you all, and I'm sure that they will all support us, and we will get this done. Okay, I hand this over to Dr. Chitra Harinasan. Thank you all for listening to me.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to have words about this important project. I'm really excited. We work with breast screen, so now we are going to work with the cervical screening. It's a very important and excited project for our women. So thank you for Pink Sari for launching this project and asking me to say a few words about cervical screening. So without further ado, I'll go into the cervical screening in our perspective, GP perspective. I do have a small slide so that I'll just go through that.
with all the important points I think it's important for us to take to the community. Why screen? Cancer is a preventable cervical cancer. Dr. Caro has mentioned that cervical cancer is entirely preventable cancer. So that's why it's important for us to screen. And also we can identify the changes in the cervix early. So even if you have slight changes, we can actually do something about it to prevent it developing into a cancer state, and we can treat them. This is also giving us an opportunity to talk to women about the other gynecological issues they don't usually present with because of the shyness. We were thinking about why people don't screen, why we're having problem with screening, especially with cervical screening or the pap smear. The main thing I identified is embarrassment. No doctor. That's the word we always ask, is embarrassment. They don't want to expose themselves in front of us. And also that a lot of people are not aware of the outcome, how bad cervical cancer would be and how much it's going to affect them, in what way it's going to affect them. And the ignorance, a lot of people don't even think about it. They don't even think about they're going to get cancer. So there's a lot of women in our community, it's ignorance. And the asymptomatic woman, why do we want to get screened? We don't have anything wrong with us. So they don't want to find out because it's nothing wrong. Why do you want to find out? Other group is generally the women are very ignorant about their health in every way because they take care of their children, they take care of their families, or they're the last. So they don't really want to come forward to do a test that screen for something that they don't want to find out. The last thing I want to mention is a lot of people are really shy. They don't want to talk to the doctors. If they talk to the doctors about the screening and say that they haven't had a screening, the doctors will ask them to do a test. So they are really scared of talking to the doctors. There is a lot of myth in our community. So a lot of people think that they're not sexually active, so they don't have to screen. This is not the people, they actually haven't had sex in their life, but these people actually have had the sexual life, but they're not active now. So they think that because we don't have active sex life, we don't really have to screen it. And in our community, a lot of people think they only have one partner. When they have one partner relationship, they think that they're not going to get cancer. This is, again, is a myth. And no symptoms, as I mentioned, things because they don't have any symptoms. They don't know. They can't have anything wrong with them. And the same-sex relationship, people think that they don't have to have a screening. But even if you have sex once in your life, you're exposing yourself to the risk of developing cancer. So they all need to be screened. PGPs do a lot of opportunity screening. When patients present to us for contraceptive consultation, repeat pill scripts, pregnancy check, postnatal check, even health assessment at 45 to 49. And any gynecological presentation, if they come with some form of gynecological issues, we always ask, have you had your smear? When did you have your smear? If they haven't had it, well, try to do it. If you notice it, the woman who actually misses on this opportunity screening is postmenopausal woman. They don't usually present to us with these type of issues. So those are the women we need to focus a lot, I think. And also the ethnic groups. A lot of ethnic group people don't use contraception or they don't come for this type of consultation with us. So we need to focus on promoting postmenopausal ladies and the ethnic group ladies. Cervical cancer and HPV vaccination, a lot of you would have heard about this is an Australian great invention, vaccination for papillomavirus. We started vaccinating our girls from 2007 at school, and then we decided we should vaccinate the boys as well. So we did vaccinating the boys and the girls. It was initially a 3-dose vaccination. Now it's changed into a 2-dose vaccination from 2014. So it's very successful. It's lot of all the kids offered this vaccination. Most of the kids are receiving this vaccination. If they miss out at school, they have the opportunity to get a catch-up vaccination with GPs as well. I wanted to mention some point when the early introduction of this vaccination, a lot of the people are quite concerned about it, especially in our community. They really don't want to vaccinate their children because they were quite sure that the girls weren't sexually active, and also that they thought that if giving this vaccination is going to give them a green light. So I think that we need to identify these girls and then screen them. And if they haven't had the vaccination, we should vaccinate them. Old pap smear versus new cervical screening test. You would have noticed that everybody is using the word cervical screening now. We used to call it pap smear in the past. It's actually changed since December 2017. We used to do it every 2 years from 18. Now it's been changed to every 5 years from 25 years old. The test is basically the same, but we do, the procedure is the same, but we do a different set. We used to do a slide test, and now it's a liquid phase assessment. And we used to look at the changes in the cervix cancer cells. Now we are looking for the HPV. That cause, now we know that that is the main cause for the cervical cancer. I hear this, a lot of women ask me, can we leave it for 5 years, doctor? They're all scared that is the extension that period, 2 years to 5 years, they're going to miss out something. But we are sure that if you have a risk, we are allowed to screen you early, and it's, the frequency of the screening is determined by the risk and the findings that we have at the screening now. CST register, it used to be called as PAP register, now it's cervical screening test register. It's a very active system of sending reminders to ladies, and they even sent letters to young girls. They haven't had the smear. Now that I had a girl yesterday, she's 25, just turned up with this message. So delighted to see that. So cervical screening test register actually plays a major role in cervical screening. But how much these people take up these letters? A lot of women actually put the letters and forget about it. Sometimes they need 2 or 3 reminders, and the take up from these reminders is very low. So we need to work on a better system of reminding our patients. Do we work on an SMS system, or do we work on an email system? And also that I was worried about the 5 years. The cervical register, screening register, get the information from our seniors. So during the 5 years time, if they change address, how are they going to update those things? So we need to work on the recall system to improve the screening rate. I was thinking how to improve the screening. We have proven with breast cancer, so we are going to prove it with cervical cancer as well. Sandha has lots of plans, he outlined it. So as we did with breast cancer, so talk to your friends about the cervical cancer, or have you had your screening? Have you had your pap smears? Take a friend with you when you actually make an appointment. Women, ask your friend and take her with you, and book appointments for birthdays, anniversaries, or we are going to have some cervical screening test events like breakfast and walks. What we did for breast screening, we are going to do all these things to promote this cervical screening. So everybody will talk about cervical screening. It's not much spoken in the community. We will advertise, or we have to advertise in main community events, sporting events, and men have to play a huge roles in promoting it. Ask your partners, ask your family members, moms and sisters and friends, have they had the screening? So this, we need to promote people to talk about cervical screening. And also we can use social media promotion. COVID, we all know COVID has changed us all, so as the cancer screening. So because it's screening, a lot of people don't turn up to the doctors, and a lot of people are scared to go to the GPs. But unfortunately, COVID is with us a lot longer than we thought. So most of us have turned operating normal now. The patients have started coming to us. We all have all the COVID safe measures. So let's promote the word. The doctors are working back. You can go back to the doctors and have your screening. And we have teleconsult. So if they need to get their results, they can actually do a teleconsult with us. And most of the specialists are working back normal. So we can refer them on if they need follow-up or a colposcopy. I want to make a note in this point that colposcopy clinic in public system is not very easily accessible for everybody. I like to see that that's easily accessible so that the women don't actually delay getting treatment for abnormal pap smears, fearing they have to pay for the specialist or pay for the procedure. So I think colposcopy clinic, easy access would be an advantage. As Palu said, we also have conversation with other GPs. How can we help to improve cervical screening? She mentioned about the recall system. We should have recall system. We all doctors have recall system. We all send letters to the patients, but how much they actually take it seriously is a question. So we have to use the PenCat. Paolo mentioned we can actually use our local health network to get some data and then identify the women who have been screened, and then we have to form some form of recall system so that we can get them all turn up screened. Male doctors, I don't blame them, but a lot of women don't talk to the male doctors about the cervical screening. We can understand that. So they should feel comfortable referring the patients to the female colleagues, or they have to have some form of information available in their own so that it stimulates those ladies to go and have their cervical screening. And try and achieve a target. Dr. Caro mentioned that we have 50% or 50+% of the screening. So if we have to achieve a better target, I remember we used to have incentive PIP program, practice incentive program. We used to have a cutoff percentage if we achieve, and then we get the practice get a payment. And lately, we don't get that, so we don't get statistics either. During that time, we get the statistics about how many patient of ours been screened. So that's something that we are missing, but we have to work on how to find out the ladies who have been screened. Each GPs have to work their own way of finding out. Paula said cervical screening clinic is a very good idea. We can identify these women and have 1 day a week or 1 day a month or one weekend. We can book all these ladies to come and screen. We don't really need a lot of technology. We don't need a lot of equipments. We just need a surgery. It's quite easy. It doesn't take that long. We can actually get them all screened very quickly if we identify the ladies who haven't been screened. Other thing is active opportunity screening. Like we mentioned that about other opportunities, we actually screen these ladies. We GPs have to actively, we are a lot of the time, patient comes with a list with lots and lots of issues. So these questions are the last one in our list, but you need to make a habit of asking the woman, have you had your smear? Have you had your breast screen? Have you had your ball screen? It doesn't take that long. We don't really need to address that at the same point. But we can ask them to go and make an appointment and come and talk to us. Whether they come back, it's a different story, but at least we are doing our duties. So let's talk about the screening whenever we have an opportunity during our consultations. And active promotion. Like have posters in our room, flyers in the waiting room. With Multicultural Health Communication Network, we made lots of our language multilingual posters. If we have them available in our rooms and in our waiting room, it would be easier for them to access. They can talk about it. Then we can actually lead them the way. So as a group, let's screen our women, vaccinate, and save life. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk on this very important topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chitra. Thank you, Dr. Pallu. We look forward to our engagement with our partner organizations in this initiative. Friends, we are fortunate to have with us Sari Ranjan, who has been a cancer carer to a family member. She migrated from India in 1997 and she worked in the IT industry for about 14 years and then switched her profession to media and is currently working as a Tamil program producer and broadcaster at SBS Radio for past 7 years now. Sari Ranjan, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Abarna. I'm excited and honored to be the part of this launch of Beyond Pink and Cervical Screening Project. And good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you, Pink Sari team, especially Mrs. Shanta Vishwanathan, for giving me this opportunity to share my experience as a cancer patient carer. Even during this pandemic, it's very much excited that we are able to join together using technology. My carer journey started in 2006, which is 14 years ago. After my younger sister's wedding in September 2005, eventually finishing all her duties, rising and settling 3 of us, we were 3 girls in our family, my mom visited here to spend some time with her grandchildren. In December 2005, my daughter was 6 years old at the time and my son was 1 year old. But unfortunately, my mom couldn't enjoy much here because she started having problem in swallowing food from April 2006. First, when I took her to my GP, he initially thought it could be a heartburn and provide medicine to treat her heartburn. But later on, her problem got worse and she couldn't get her food down to her stomach. Whatever she ate, it stuck in her esophagus, food pipe, and eventually she had to vomit it out completely. So when I took her again to my GP, this time he referred to do an endoscopy test immediately. In June, when we did an endoscopy, the specialist told us he couldn't reach the camera tube into her stomach because there was a tumor blocking at the end of her food pipe. He did a biopsy of the tumor and we waited for the result. And at last, we got the sad news that she got stomach cancer. And unfortunately, it was in 4th stage. I don't know what to do, especially not having any extended families here and along with my young children. I was worried how I'm going to take care of her. My mom said she will go back to India, but I don't want to send her. Of course, we have better treatment here. Without my mom, I won't be here in Australia. Since she was not educated, she wants to give her girls good education. She sacrificed a lot to bring us up. So I applied for visa to my dad to come from India, and we started her treatment here. First, the doctor fixed a small flexible tube to open the block at the end of her pipe so that she can keep her foot down. Then they started the chemotherapy at Concord Hospital. She managed only one cycle of chemo, and she couldn't cope up with the side effect. And her stomach pain from her tumor was becoming very worse. At one stage, she couldn't sleep flat on her bed, and she had to sleep in a sitting position. My father came around in August, and it was very supportive for her and for me, of course. We were doing everything to save her, but unfortunately, her treatment doctor told us that the treatment what they were giving was not working, and the cancer had spread to many organs around her stomach. So it's better to take her back to India as soon as possible. So we stopped her treatment and we all went to India in September, and she passed away in October 2006. Even it's only 4 or 5 months journey, or maybe 6 months, the diagnosis process, it was very tough, emotional, very hard, and very hard to see her suffering. And back in 2006, there were no support services of cancer patient carers, as far as I am aware of. But I got help from a community person who already had experience caring a cancer patient. And one more thing, since my mom doesn't want to reveal her cancer to anyone, I didn't tell any of my friends and relatives here because she didn't prefer no one visiting her. So I have to end up take care of her alone. So it's really appreciable that Pink Sari came up with this care support program, and which is more essential in getting cultural-based support. As a carer, everyone needs both physical and mental support during the caring period. Cultural-based support provides more comfort and confidence, I think. Any sort of help, even in transport, groceries, shopping, anything is much appreciable. So all the very best to Pink Sari in this project. And thank you once again giving me this opportunity to share my story. Thank you. Nandri, vanakkam.
Thank you, Selvi. Thank you for taking time and sharing your personal story. Friends, as the event draws to a close, could I now please request my fellow PSI member Viji to convey our thanks on behalf of PSI.
I start my vote of thanks by thanking the First Nation people for sharing their beautiful country with us. Thank you. We would like to thank Professor David Caro for launching these projects and for your powerful keynote speech. You spoke very eloquently about the carers. You said the impact stays with them even after the carer role has ended. So we at Pink Sari are very grateful to Cancer Council for giving us the opportunity and excited about our Beyond Pink project to make the carer's life a little bit easier. We thank the Cancer Institute for their ongoing support. I want to thank two people specially. One is Cheetal Chalam, Multicultural Strategic Advisor, and Anthea Leslie, Project Officer for Cervical Screening Program, for your support and encouragement. Pink Sari thanks Joseph La Foster, CEO of Multicultural New South Wales, for representing Honourable Minister Dr. Jeff Lee at the last minute. Thank you for your great talk, and we will send you the copy of the video as you requested. Pink Sari Inc. thanks our partners. Multicultural Communication Service, which is partnering with Beyond Pink project. We thank Lisa Woodland, Director of Lesoth's Multicultural Health Communication Service, for her presentation. Jeshua Halaratna for ongoing support with the media contacts. Sam, what can I say? Sam Shin for your tech support leading up to the launch and for managing the Zoom session today. We could not have done it without you. P.S. I didn't have the technical know-how to do this. Sam kindly worked with the PSI members after her work hours to make it all happen. So a very, very big thank you to you, Sam. As Lisa acknowledged, Michael worked with Pink Project to build a relationship between Multicultural Health Communication Service and the South Asian women. We at Pink Sari call Michael very affectionately Father of Pink Sari, because when the 2-year funded Pink Sari project came to an end, it was Michael who thought of calling the community, a few community women who were very engaged, and asked them to take it on as a not-for-profit organization, a community project. So thank you, Michael. Indian Medical Graduate Association and Australian Medical Aid Foundation, who are partnering with PSI to deliver the cervical screening for survival project. We thank Dr. Paula Malawala. Thank you for informing us and encouraging the fellow GPs to use the PenCat, the computer program, to monitor the patients who have not had cervical screening and sending them reminders and doing a mass screening test. What a great idea. PS will work with you to spread this message. And Dr. Chitra Harinesan for coordinating this project on behalf of their respective organizations. And Dr. Chitra Harinesan for presentation today. She spoke about why women are reluctant to have screening and the misinformation. Chitra also spoke about the opportunities the GPs have to talk to their women patients. Pink Sari Inc. thank our ambassadors, media, the Indian and Sri Lankan community organizations, and the community for their contribution and support. Selvi Ranjan, a carer, for sharing her experience with us today. I'm sure it would not have been easy to relive the painful journey. Your story has shown us the support services for cancer patients was lacking just 14 years ago. I know it has come a long way from that time, but there is still a large gap. And doing our Beyond Pink project, let us see what those gaps are. And we would like to actually have in our website a page which we are calling it One-Stop Shop, where the carers or the cancer patient get all the information about support services that are available. When a patient is diagnosed with cancer, that is the most challenging time, and to be searching for services at that time is very difficult. So let us help you. I also say a very big thank you to all my fellow Pink Sari sisters. I could not have found a more dedicated and fun-loving group to work with. Last but not least, all our Zoom participants. I hope you would continue to support Pink Sari to spread the message to the community by organizing your family and friends to form a group for us to do a cervical screening presentation. Please don't forget your daughters and their friends. Cervical screening starts from age 25 and goes up to 74. If you can get about 20 to 25 people, we would be happy to arrange a presentation either via Zoom or even in your homes. Or if we have to get a place to do that, now that COVID is easing, we can do that too. So I'm appealing to each and every one of you to take the initiative and to arrange one group in the next 6 months. If you can't get 20 to 25 people, it's all right. Get as many as you can and we can combine the groups to do a presentation. Just call us and talk to us. We can find a way. This project ends in August. Pink Sari needs the community support to assist us to make this a resounding successful project, just like the other two projects we did in the past. Thank you, one and all.
Friends, with this, we conclude our launch event. A recording of this event will be available soon via our Facebook page. Please feel free to contact us in relation to the Beyond Pink and/or cervical screening awareness for survival projects. I apologize for it being going over the time that we have put down in our run sheet. Apologies to all the panelists. I know Mr. Joseph Leposta had to leave, but thank you all for staying on. Thank you all to all the community members. And we look forward to having you again at our future events. Thank you.